What's going on YouTube? My name is FG3000. I'm back in the place to be and welcome back for the last and final time to Overhit. If you have not heard the news, Overhit is officially shutting down on June the 14th. As of today, all in-game purchases have been disactivated, and if you're keeping count, this shutdown announcement comes at this game's nearly 1 year anniversary. This game officially hit global launch way back in 2019 on May the 29th. So not quite a year, but almost there. So in today's video, let's go ahead and take one last look at the game that was Overhit. Of course, starting off with the heroes that you can collect. Now, this game is built on the back of the Unreal Engine, and you guys know my grievances when it comes to Unreal and when it comes to making heroes on this engine. Something about all the heroes that are built on this game engine just come out looking just really blank and just lacking of personality. Like, at a technical level, they look good, but at an aesthetic level, at a personality level, just something about these characters. Like, this guy's a really good example. He's supposed to be like this rambunctious youth, but look, like, his face is just like, it looks like they took a generic Unreal asset and just kind of spruced it up a little bit, because all of the characters just kind of have this really just blank look to them. I had the same exact issue in Ion Legions of War, a game that also recently shut down that was also built on the Unreal Engine. Some of these characters can look right at home in that game as well. Like, you can pluck this character out, throw her in that game, and she would look just fine. Like, even one of my favorite characters, I was using this character quite a bit. Just a very generic gunslinger. Just something about these characters always just kind of lack something. The 2D art, look how playful the 2D art looks. It just did not translate to the 3D. Like she just did not do it for me. So those are the characters. That was one of my first beefs with the game, first of many. But just in case you guys have not seen the game in a while, let's go ahead and jump into combat. Now, one thing that this game did do pretty well, in my opinion, what it lacked in character detail, it definitely made up in raid boss detail. I thought some of the raid bosses in this game look really, really good. So let's go ahead and jump into, of course, find ourselves a good old-fashioned spider boss here. We'll just go ahead and jump in with whatever team we had. The 2D art, like I said, on point. Just once you see them in 3D, you're like, eh. But the raid bosses, though, one of my favorite part of this game, one of my favorite parts of any hero collector is, of course, this power fantasy of fighting these larger-than-life raid bosses. And Overhit actually did a really good job when it came to these. I love the way this boss looks. Looks fantastic. So what happened to Overhit, ladies and gentlemen? Well, Nexon did Nexon things, ladies and gentlemen. So this game, at the time that it was releasing in global launch, was doing very well in Korea and Japan. And I have this same criticism towards Last Claudia, the same criticism towards Netmarble and Seven Deadly Sins. When you have a proven product in Korea, in Japan, wherever, you got a proven product, you're about to bring it over to global, the very best thing that you can do as a publisher is do nothing. That's the best thing you can do, is do nothing. But for whatever reason, these publishers, these developers, they bring these games over to global and they feel like they have to do something more to squeeze even more money out. Even though they could be printing money in their home region, they look at global like, yo, listen to this dumb analogy, right? This is the way that FG sees it. So in the game's home region, it's like a fully formed and stable Jenga tower, right? You know what Jenga is. I'll put it on the screen. It's a fully formed Jenga tower in its home country. But when it comes to America, the publishers say, you know what? I think we can keep this Jenga tower just as firm and structurally sound if we take out a few pieces. Let's go ahead and take out, I don't know, some of the very free-to-play friendly rates. Let's take out some of the login bonuses. Let's take out some of the achievements. Let's start removing some of these Jenga pieces. I'm sure everything is gonna be fine. It ain't, it wasn't, and it ain't. Again. So let's go ahead and talk about a few of the things that they did when they brought this game over to the global player base. So the first thing that they did, ladies and gentlemen, and I have to say is one of the egregious, the most egregious ones, is that they decided to go ahead and take the SSR drop rate, which is 5% in the other regions, and drop it down to 2%. Okay, that's massive. That is a massive slash in the rates of SSR appearance. But they even try. Let me give you guys a little word of wisdom, right? So when this came out, right, when we all found out that the rates dropped from 5% down to 2%, Nexon tried to say, hey, don't worry, this is actually better for you because we have this system where you can actually craft characters, so you're gonna be fine. It's actually gonna be better for you in the long run. Don't you worry. You can craft any hero that you want. Let me tell you something. If any company ever tells you that a lowered rate is better for you, no, they are lying. That is not true. Is a bold-faced lie. Even with this crafting system, even with this system that was supposed to offset the 3% slash in rates, it was still very, very hard to get duplicates of characters in this game. And in this game, much more than a lot of other hero collectors that we play, because lots of hero collectors like Arc Knight, Seven Deadly Sins, even Soul Art, games that I'm playing right now have a duplicate system where you have duplicates of characters that make them stronger. That's not a unique system, right? There's nothing really wrong with that system inherently. However, here in Overhit, it was amplified even further. And I think this was an egregious mistake, especially when it comes to hero collectors, because in this game, if you pull an SSR, right, you beat the odds. You beat the lowered odds that Nexon presented. You finally get an SSR. You're super happy. You're excited. It's time to get to work. Nope. In this game, a raw SSR with no duplicates was basically worthless. You couldn't do anything with a raw level 40 SSR with no duplicates. You couldn't use them. So that excitement of pulling a favorite character, that excitement of hitting the banner, getting a character that you were like super excited about, like, yes, I'm finally getting this trigger happy gunslinger Esta. This is so exciting. Pretty much useless until you pull another one, another DJ Khaled, a DJ Khaled, and another DJ Khaled, all right? So I think going forward, any developer that's gonna be making a hero collector, duplicate systems are fine, right? There's nothing wrong with a duplicate system, but if you have an SSR character like this character, I was super hyped. I could not wait to use this character until I started powering her up and I realized she was way too weak to keep up with the rest of my team. So there's nothing wrong with having limit breaks and awakenings that give your character additional power, but an SSR character that comes out of a banner has to be usable at 100%. Duplicates should push up a character to 102, 104, 106, stuff like that. But a SSR character that comes out of a hero collector gotcha banner needs to be usable at 100%. And that's where they made the mistake, and I'm gonna make this number up. A character that came out of this banner was like 50%. I made the number up, but you know what I'm talking about. So that was a big, big problem. You know, if FG didn't use this character, there was a problem. All right, you know there's a problem there. So that was just a really bad mistake, and it didn't stop there. They had this feature in the game called Special Mission, and this Special Mission was basically designed to help characters through roadblocks. When you have RNG in a game, sometimes some players are gonna struggle with things more than they should. So this Special Mission was designed as you power up, as you go through the game continually gives you guaranteed power through this Special Mission to help push you through roadblocks. But what they did to the global version is made some of these milestones roadblocks in themselves. Think about that for a second. This system was designed to help players through roadblocks, but when they brought it to global, they made these milestones roadblocks. What? Like, it defeated the whole purpose of the system. So like, it's just bad decision after bad decision, and it was just a pattern of behavior. So this is why, and I know a lot of people gave me beef for this when I said it back when it happened, this game also had a costume gate where they had paid stats that could not be purchased with diamonds later on. They had paid costume stat costumes. Couldn't think of what I wanted to say. And at the time, I actually got a lot of flack from people because they were like, FG, the stats aren't that bad, FG. Just don't buy them, FG. They're this percent of the overall power of your character. They're not that big of a deal, FG. So my argument back then is my same argument today, is that it's a pattern of behavior. The perception, keyword, of the global version of Nexon's Overhit was that everything was worse. And at the time, Knights Chronicle just got absolutely torched by a much worse costume gate. At Knights Chronicle, those costumes actually had like skills and passive changes, right? It was like way worse than Knights Chronicle. So at the time, people were very sensitive about paid costume stats. So if you are a savvy company, you know what happened in Knights Chronicle, why would you then put in paid stats into your game? Regardless on how beneficial they were gonna be to your character, the perception was going to be, oh, Overhit has paid stats too. So if you're a savvy publisher, you avoid that by not putting the stats on the costume and just sell the costumes for money. Because, right, everyone was like, back then, everyone was like, FG. The stats aren't that big of a deal. all right, if the stats aren't that big of a deal, take the stats off and just sell the costumes. They didn't do it. And I'm not saying that that was one of the reasons why the game failed. It was one of many reasons. It was a pattern of behavior. And at that point, I had already seen what Nexon was doing. At that point, I saw, once again, the worst rates, the worst milestones, the costumes. I was like, this company just has a bad pattern of behavior. And the people that were making those decisions still work at the company and are still making decisions. So why would I continue playing a game like this? And guess what? I didn't. And guess what? You didn't either. So many people dropped this game at that point. So many people started to abandon the game. Now, let's just say that you were a person that had no idea about Nexon, you had no idea about what was going on behind the scenes, and you were just playing the game blind in a vacuum, right? Were you still gonna be kind of turned off on this game? I would still say yes, because this game was very samey. When it came to events, it was the same exact event over and over and over again. It was basically just continue grinding stages all day, leaving your game on auto repeat all day long. That was really all the events were. There was no deviation to that at all. It was extremely hard to get your favorite characters online. So even if you didn't know anything about the drama that went in behind the scenes between the two versions, global, Korea, Japan, if you didn't know any of that, I still feel like eventually you would have got tired of this game just due to the fact that it was super samey and you couldn't use your favorite characters if you were free to play. So what was the point of playing a hero collector? So those are kind of my personal overall thoughts on the game itself. I think Nexon did Nexon things. I think the characters themselves weren't very exciting, and that lack of excitement was amplified with how rare they were in the gacha and how many duplicates that you needed. The overall daily gameplay loop, in my opinion, was very samey, and the one thing that's supposed to make people excited about your game as new patch updates hit, new characters, fun and exciting events, were not fun or exciting. But that is what I think about the actual core game itself. To end the rest of this video off, we're gonna go ahead and mute our little lobby here, and we're gonna go ahead and jump on over into the world of the internet and some statty yada yada. So let's talk about Overhit, right? Now, this website, Sensor Tower, let's be 100% upfront and clear. These numbers are ballparks, very bold and broad ballparks, all right? In order to get the real numbers, you really have to subscribe to like a website like Think Gaming that charges people $1,000 a month. It's designed for publishers. It's not really designed for random YouTubers in Austin, Texas behind a microphone. However, Sensor Tower does at least give us an idea of an overall health of the game, so we can kind of still use it as kind of a bar, right? So Overhit, as of right now, when it comes to April, was sitting at less than 5,000 downloads. Now, this website does not go below 5,000. So if they were at 100 downloads, it wouldn't track. It would still say below 5,000, which is technically correct. But if I had to guess, I would still think it's way less than 5,000 downloads per month, for sure. That puts it at about $40,000 of revenue per month on the Google platform, and then 20K surprisingly on iTunes. So you're looking at, when it comes to North America, you're looking at about 60K a month on Overhit, which is not a lot for a game under the umbrella of Nexon. Now, I got into a discussion with someone else on this same exact topic, saying that $60,000 is plenty if you pay developers in countries that have a lower cost of living, which technically is right, but I still do not agree, because I feel like you just can't just have programmers. You still have to have management. You still have to have program managers. You still have to have project managers. You still have to have a lot more than just programmers. I know there are games out there that are made by like a husband and wife team that do just fine. I know like Stardew Valley was made like by one person. I get it. But when it comes to mobile, everything is different. You can't just pay a couple of programmers $60K to maintain a mobile game, because mobile's biggest strength is how agile it is, how fast the updates come, how like every week there's a new character, there's a new raid, new quality of life. That's the strength of mobile. Let's be clear, I run a mobile channel, and I'll be the first one to tell you that mobile games do not compare to PC and console. The biggest strength of mobile is just how fast it is. There's always something exciting right around the corner. If you don't like a game today, wait a week, a new game is probably coming out. That's the strength of mobile. So if you take this and put it on a shoestring budget with a couple of programmers, you're not going to be able to put out any updates very fast. You're not going to be able to do anything creative, no quality of life features, and those strengths of mobile completely vanish. So no, a company like Nexon is not going to keep Overhit online for 60K by paying people in a country with a lower cost of living. That's just not how it works. That's not how it's going to happen. So that's that. So let's jump on over here to the most up-to-date investor presentation over here at Nexon. This one just came out on May the 13th. So very, very up-to-date. In my past life, before I was a YouTuber, I worked at Dell as a sales analyst for the bulk of my career. So looking at these investor presentations are so much fun to me. You can always tell what they want you to focus on. Like right here, look at this, don't look at nothing else. So obviously it's Nexon. They're riding high on the back of MapleStory, Dungeon Fighter, FIFA Online as well. If you don't know, EA gave them permission for that as well. So obviously FIFA prints money. So if we scroll down here a little bit more, we've talked about Cartwriter. This game right here, Nexon is putting a lot of muscle behind. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this presentation. If we kind of go down here, no surprises that a bulk of their success as Nexon as a company comes from PC and not so much mobile. Their #1 region at the moment is going to be China, Korea, and then North America and Europe combined, and then Japan. So Japan is technically third, but they do group North America and Europe together, and then the rest of the world. And like I just mentioned before, PC, the bulk of their revenue comes from PC. The rest of it comes from mobile. Now, the reason why I wanted to kind of bring this up as well is because I want to kind of look ahead, because Nexon, there's a lot of Nexon, right? A lot of people are like looking at Nexon like they're going to be the next company that shuts down the next 10 games. Maybe we can kind of see the future. We can get a little bit of crystal ball action using this investor presentation here. So right now, China, they're doing fantastic, even considering what's going on in the world. We all know that China gets a lot of gameplay action via PC cafes. So even considering that, they're still doing fantastic in China. Of course, Korea, Nexon is based in Korea, so they're doing fantastic with MapleStory. Revenue grew on MapleStory 132% year over year. FIFA Online had their greatest, highest quarterly revenue. Dungeon Fighter is still building up momentum. Sudden Attack, I don't even know what that game is. Revenue grew 52% year over year. These are some incredible numbers, by the way. Let's jump on down here to North America and Europe. So MapleStory did pretty well, right? So their MapleStory revenue increased year over year. Check this out. So MapleStory's success over here in North America was offset by the declines by Darkness Rises, Axe, and Choices. If you don't know what Choices is, this is Choices. This right here is Choices. You know what? If you're Nexon and this game is printing money for you, you have got to be excited, because I have got to imagine the margin here on developing a game like Choices, which looks like a choose your own adventure storybook game, versus making a game like Overhit, Darkness Rises. They're like, wait a minute. We're making so much money with so little invested in Choices. That is the future. So you have got to be encouraged. But even considering that, the revenue that they achieved by MapleStory was offset by the declines in Choices, Darkness Rises, and Axe. So the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because I want to look ahead. The whole reason I'm bringing this up, because I want to look ahead. I want to see which games are going to be potentially shutting down next. And I think a lot of people think that Nexon is going to be shutting down games left and right. I don't necessarily agree looking at this, all right? So if we look ahead, North America to Europe, we talked about Cartwriter Rush. This game, Nexon is putting a lot of muscle behind, like they're putting all their bets on Cartwriter. The game is already on mobile. It's also going to be releasing on Xbox as well as Steam. The game in China is absolutely killing it. Like Cartwriter is killing it in China. So Nexon's like, yo, if we can replicate the success of Cartwriter in China, even like halfway in North America, Japan, Europe, we're gonna be good. All right, so think about that. Think about how much muscle and how much they are putting in the Cartwriter basket. They still feel that the benefit of Cartwriter is gonna be offset by the declines of Overhit, Axe, and Darkness Rises. And that's very curious to me, because Overhit is not really making that much money. Once again, take these numbers, don't look at these as exact dollar amounts, just look at them as like an overall feel of the overall health of the game. So they're banking so much on Cartwriter, yet they're saying that the success of Cartwriter is gonna be offset by Overhit? That's only 60K, that can't be right. How about Axe, 100K? Okay, Axe is doing much better, okay. Darkness Rises, 600K, nearly $1 million. So what? I'm trying to understand. So they think Cartwriter is going to be that next big thing, but they also think that the decline of these two properties is going to be enough to offset the benefits of Cartwriter. I wonder what they know about the future of these titles. I wonder what they know. You know, I don't see them dropping Darkness Rises. I do not. And I really don't see them dropping Axe, but I also don't see Overhit being that big of a hindrance to the success of Cartwriter. You know what I mean? Like losing this 60K, that's going to be the difference between reporting a year-over-year success over a year-over-year failure? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to take a look at this later. I'm sure we're going to be back for more Nexon action in another video, ladies and gentlemen. So that is pretty much that. I know we talked about more than just Overhit, but I love kind of doing this. This is like my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. If we kind of look ahead at what Nexon plans on working on, when it comes to like a global standpoint, like I said, Cartwriter, that's going to be a big game for them, global, PC, console, those are what those two icons mean. You got Cartwright over here, global, mobile right there as well. Final Fantasy 11 Reboot is going to be a global launch property for mobile. So that's something that, you know, when you do one of these investor calls, you always want to make sure that you highlight the things that you want to highlight. So putting like pictures and trying to put emphasis on these is trying to be like, don't look at Overhit. You see there's no Overhit art in this at all. Ain't there's no Axe art in here at all. They only want to focus on the things that they want investors to be like, ooh, pretty, ooh, money. All right, so they think that Final Fantasy Reboot is going to be something big. Dynasty Warriors 9 Mobile. That's going to be another global launch property on mobile. Does not look like they have any plans at the moment to bring Project Barbecue, BBQ, whatever, over to global at the moment. Arcane Shutdown is actually, this game is actually already on Steam. It's very well received. Like this game has a really high rating on Steam right now. So it looks like they're probably going to take over the publishing rights for the mobile version because this is developed and published by a totally different company on PC. So I think that maybe they got the right to bring it over to mobile. But there you go. That is my thoughts on Overhit. I know we're all over the place, but that's just what we do over here. Overhit, rest in peace, shutting down on June the 14th. Unlike a lot of other games, this game actually does have a few things in store. So when you log on, there's going to be additional benefits and gold and summon tickets and currency and stuff like that. They also have permanent hot time until the game shuts down. So they did a little bit, but it didn't seem too crazy. But that will do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, my name is FG3000, and I'll see you guys next video. Later.